Jim Harbaugh has been hired by the Chargers to be their head coach.
Yeah, not to be their quarterback or anything.
Or their GM.
He was their quarterback at one point.
He was, yeah.
Finished the career there.
Yeah.
He becomes the first coach to leave after winning a national championship since 1997. Tom Osborne.
Oh,
Yep.
really?
Yep.
Osborne left after winning a title?
After his second title. Well, I guess that would have been his third. I think he won.
Did he just retire, or was he sick, or what?
No, he's retired.
I don't remember that.
Tip of the cap. Walked away.
Good for him.
Yeah, so first coach since 1997 to do it. So he wins the title and calls it good. And now we're assuming that Sharon Moore, who's their offensive line coach, he was the one that took over when Harbaugh was suspended, beat Ohio State, beat Penn State. 37 years old. I would assume that this is where they're going. Because remember, the portal is open now for 30 days.
I think you got to hire him, don't you?
Well,
it's too late in the process.
I don't know where else you go. And,
Right.
if you don't, like someone already tweeted out, Washington already putting together a list of the players in Michigan that they'd like to go after.
Yeah.
Michigan has good NIL, but I mean, you see this all the time. Anytime a coach leaves, and kids now have 30 days to decide where else they're going to go, the amount of tampering and people coming after their roster is, and they're going to lose some kids, I guarantee it, but everyone knew Harbaugh was going to leave. Moore is well-respected, well-liked, and there's the idea of just promote from within and try to minimize the damage. Because you look at what happened to Alabama, you look at what happened to Arizona, you look at what happened to Washington. When you lose your coach and you're the only one that the portal's open to, I mean, it's really bad.
Yeah,
so
I think you got to stick with Moore at this stage of the game. Plus, he did a good job.
He did a great job. I don't even know if they were going to look elsewhere. Everyone knew that Harbaugh was leaving. My guess is that Moore will be announced as the head coach within 24 hours.
Now, does he last longer than Mark Helfrich did at Oregon?
Dude, I'll tell you what, anytime you promote from within, it's risky. And the other one that sucks for him is, dude, Michigan just won a national title for the first time since what, 96, 97?
That could help him.
Yeah, it could, but at the same time, like Michigan hasn't been great for 30 years. And now this is the expectation. Like if he goes into next year and they win 10, 11 games, but they lose to Ohio State. By the way, have you seen what Ohio State brought in the portal?
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous. Ohio State might have the most talented roster in college football next year. I mean, it's stacked. So you go in and then you lose to Ohio State and maybe you make the playoff, but you lose and people are going to be like, well, what the hell? Jim Harbaugh won a title, whereas 2 years ago we were ready to fire Jim Harbaugh. So look, I just think this is a tough job. He's going to be under a lot of scrutiny, and hopefully they give him some grace. But you look at whether it's Frank Solich or any of the other guys that have replaced, teams that coaches that won national titles. We know this isn't an easy job for a first-year guy that's 37 years old.
See, I think it could help him that they just won the title, because I think that I just think that will back some people off.
I hope so.
I don't know that it would at some programs, and maybe not Michigan, but I just feel like that gets you a little bit more slack on the rope.
Yeah. But every school right now, from Oregon to Alabama, is calling up Michigan players.
But that's true of every school. I mean, I saw an interview with Kalen DeBoer today, and he said people are still all over his players at Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just sharks in the water. This is the game now.
Yep.
So surely Moore, like you said, they knew Harbaugh was probably leaving. So surely they've done a lot of things behind the scenes, or what they can do more to kind of shore it all up. But I just feel like, I don't know, you never really want to follow a legend, as they say. That's why the Kalen DeBoer thing to Alabama is tough. Yep. But I think in this instance, I don't know, I view it like maybe it's a good thing you're following Jim Harbaugh right after winning a title, because, those expectations go down, at least for a little bit. Yeah. I don't think they expect it every year. Maybe you get 4. Helfrich got 4 years. Mm-hmm. Maybe he gets 4 years.
Well, I think at least. Yeah, he gets.
And Helfrich was really good.
Yeah, he played for a national championship.
Yeah, but then it went south, and they only won 4 games. Yeah. And so one season like that, and he was out, and everybody was panicking. That will happen at Michigan. Like I don't think he has to win a title every year. I feel like Kalen DeBoer at Alabama has to win a title pretty much every other year. That's the standard that has been set by Nick Saban. Yeah. Harbaugh at Michigan winning a title, I don't think it means the same thing. I think it sort of means that Sherrone Moore needs to keep up the winning, much like Helfrich did. Helfrich won, I'm looking here, he went, 11-2 and then 13-2 and played in the college football title game.
Yeah.
And then he went 9-4, and that's when it's like, but then 4-8 out. Yeah. If Moore does that, he's out. But if he keeps up the winning, and he doesn't even have to win championships like at Alabama, I think he could maybe outlast
Helfrich.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't know why I think this, but I just feel like it's a little different expectation, him following Harbaugh than DeBoer following Saban.
I hope Michigan doesn't get a case of big pants, because Michigan's a great school and Michigan's a great job. But we've talked about this. They always compare themselves to Ohio State. They are not. When you look at Ohio State versus Michigan, they're not the same program. They don't recruit the same kids. They don't win at the same level. They don't win national titles like that. They have not been traditionally, and they sure as hell are not Alabama or a school like that. Michigan is a great school, but it's a tier below that. Yeah. And now that you won, I hope Michigan doesn't go into this thing of, well, like you said, we expect to win. Like Alabama and DeBoer is going to find out real quick that 11 wins doesn't mean Jack S in Tuscaloosa. Yeah, I feel like, and I hope that doesn't happen with Michigan.
I don't think it will. I just feel like the more Midwestern sensibilities I hope so. May come into play there.
And then on the other side,
they should hire Jed Fish, as somebody said on this before text line.
Want every Husky fan on suicide watch.
How funny would that be?
Fish's buyout isn't that much.
I mean, they wouldn't hire him, but
no, but
what if they did? And Washington's sitting there like, what the hell?
And on the other side, Harbaugh is taking over. Going into this season, almost everyone had the Chargers as a top 10 roster in the NFL. So the Harbaugh is coming into expectations of win and win now. This isn't taking over the Panthers or the Commanders or something like that.
He should be able to win now.
He should. This is a top 10-ish roster with a franchise quarterback. Harbaugh is going to be expected to come in and hit the ground running, win 11 games, be a playoff team, win in the playoffs. There are going to be massive expectations on him in in LA right away.
Well, they were on Sean Payton in Denver too.
Yeah.
And he stumbled right out of the gate.
Yep.
Took some time.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know if that'll happen with Harbaugh or if maybe this is a roster is that much better with the Chargers, but it's not always that easy.
No, but this is going to be one of the top 2 storylines going into next year. Yeah. Will be Harbaugh and the Chargers.
Hey man, the NFL is more interesting with Jim Harbaugh in it.
100%.
He's an interesting dude.
Yeah.
By the way, this is the first time the Chargers have hired a head coach with previous NFL head coaching experience since 2007.
Oh.
Norv Turner.
How'd that work out?
He followed Schottenheimer.
Yeah. But if you're Herbert, you have to look at Harbaugh and just smile because he fixed Alex Smith, developed Andrew Luck, J.J. McCarthy. Who else am I missing? There was one other mixed. Oh, Colin Kaepernick. Yeah. Damn near won a Super Bowl with him. So, like Harbaugh has a track record with quarterbacks. So if you're Herbert, you got to be grinning.
Well, he'll demand a lot. As a matter of fact, I was just reading an Athletic article about his hire, and it said in there, Harbaugh is demanding.
Yeah.
And he is, everybody knows what they're getting with Jim Harbaugh, but the second he walks into an organization, he is respected. He's just got that it factor.
And we remember when we interviewed him, he carries.
He's got it.
Absolutely.
He's got it.
And now with transition lenses, which make him double respectable.
What they said was he will demand a lot from that organization because he knows what it takes to win. But what they also said was Dean Spanos, who is thought of as a terrible owner, is finally ready to give it to him. In other words, they're tired of it.
Yeah, hands off.
And they're like, this is why we're hiring. They went to the top of the crop of coaches that were out there. And this was as good. I don't remember ever. And say what you will about any of these coaches or their age. I never have seen a crop of coaches available in the NFL like this year.
Really good ones.
Dude, you had Harbaugh wasn't available, but he kind of was.
Yeah.
You had Jim Harbaugh wanting to get out of college. You had Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel sitting out there. You had, Nick Saban could even be thrown in there. And again, some of those guys aren't going to get hired. Yeah. I get it. I'm just saying, just the accomplishments of the resumes of some of the coaches that were out there. And the Chargers went straight to the top of it and got their guy. And Spanos is saying, we are ready to be accountable. He will hold us accountable. We're going to give him what he needs. That's pretty scary.
Yeah. And they're paying the freight. I guarantee his contract's going to be somewhere in the $13 to $15 million range. You said they're willing to pay.
I bet it's more than that.
It's going to be a lot.
I mean, Peyton just got $18 million from the Broncos. Matter of fact, we did this last week.
Yeah.
The highest paid coach in U.S. sports right now, professional sports right now, or actually not just professional, in all of sports, because it could include college, is Sean Payton at $18 million a year. That's after it was Belichick at 25. He's out, so now it's Peyton. I bet you Harbaugh might be the highest paid coach.
I want to see this. That's a lot of milk.
In all of U.S. sports right now.
I want to see if the details on that leak out. Then you're going to go to the top. You're going to pay for it.